Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's European region webinar for the Global Mental Health Peer Network. I'm very happy to see you here with us. Today's discussion is about wellness, the different points of view and definitions, and practical tools on how to create and improve it. We have two presenters that will share points of view from their own journey and lived experience, and that's why this knowledge is so precious. If you have any questions during the presentations, you can either write them on the chat or wait until the Q&A session that we will have after the presentation. I will start by to present myself. My name is Yael Gaya. I am from Israel. I am the chairperson of the Europe region of the Global Mental Health Network. I am here as a person with lived experience personally and also professionally as a body-mind therapist and a workshop facilitator. Specifically, I'm working with techniques of breath, regulation of the nervous system, and trauma healing. I'm wearing these glasses as an action of regulation and improving my wellness since the light of the screen is disturbing my eyes and my brain. And I want to say also that unfortunately, one of our speakers will not be available today, but we are very happy that we have with us Julieann and Zbynek, and we look forward to their presentations. So I want to invite them to present themselves in a few words. Julieann and Zbynek, please tell us about you, the country you come from, and what is your work and expertise.
Okay, so I will start. Hello to everyone. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. My name is Zbynek Roboch. I'm from the Czech Republic. I'm 48 at the moment. I have 3 children, so it's about myself, about my family, and my work. I work in the field of mental health. I work for National Institute of Mental Health here in the Czech Republic, and I work in project which is called Prevention and Support of Mental Health. It's one of my jobs. I have also a second job. My second job is I'm a member of team of ombudsman in one of the biggest psychiatric hospitals here in the Czech Republic. It's called Bohnice. And I think it's also very important for me just to be part of this work. Then I'm co-leader of NGO called Dialogos, and in this NGO we are trying to advocate people with lived experience and enable them to participate in decision-making processes here in the Czech Republic in field of mental health. And finally, I am member of National Committee of Mental Health here in the Czech Republic, and I represent people with lived experience here. So it's about me. And now I will let Julieann to introduce herself.
Thank you. My name is Julieann Cullen. I am from Dublin in Ireland, and I have both professional and personal experience of mental health. I am mental health nurse trained for the last 15 years. I would have worked predominantly with child and adolescent mental health services, be that inpatient, community, charity, and Section 39, which would be not public sector. I have a huge passion for mental health, and I would have had lived experience from a very young age of caring for siblings and for parents with severe mental health difficulties, and then through the years then have my own experiences of dealing and not dealing so well with different difficulties, be that depression, anxiety, trauma-induced, and most recently I've been diagnosed with ADHD. So the coming into the Global Mental Health Peer Network was something that I found really unusual, because I was always focused on everybody else and looking after everyone else's things. So I've really leaned into the space of advocacy in the last couple of years, and I have been part of a lot of research projects, and it's really helped me to gain my voice in my experiences. So I'm really excited to be part of the webinar today to continue to share my experiences. So I'm delighted to present to you all today.
Wonderful, thank you. It was very interesting to hear you. So let's hear about wellness from each of you. We will start with you, Zbynek.
Okay, so I will start. I just forgot to tell also one thing, that I'm glad I'm part of Global Mental Health Peer Network, because it's really enthusiastic. It's really great to be part of world movement and to share and connect each other. So I'm glad about it. Yeah. And thanks Claudia, thanks Charlie and others to be with me. So about wellness, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I'm sorry, did you say something?
I just wanted to start, what I feel when the wellness is set. When I hear the word wellness, I just imagine pool, some wellness hotel, maybe massage. Yeah, that's what the first came in my mind when I hear wellness. Yeah. But when I just go through, when I read about it, I just realized that it's not only about being in good manner or something like that, but it's also about processes, how to deal with and strategies, how to handle stress, improve resilience, and deal with adversity, for example. And when I was thinking about it more deeper, I just realized that there are important steps how to improve our mental well-being, and it's to be connected with other people. So, as I said, to being part of Global Mental Health Peer Network is this point, and I'm glad about it. Be physically active. Yeah, it's very important, and for me, it's also important because when I was in attack of my mental illness, I just stopped doing anything. I stopped sports. I stopped visiting friends, and it was also one of the reasons to when my illness became. Learning new skills. That's what I realized, that it's very important for me. Yeah, at the moment, my hobby is investing on stocks. So I just found information about stocks, about different funds and so on. And that is what's interesting me. And also I hope that it helped me just like to live normally when I will be retired. And it's about 20 years or maybe less than 20 years. So it's important question of wellness in the future for me.
So I would like to ask you, according to what you said, if you can define in your own word what wellness is for you. How will you explain this term? When you talk about wellness.
Yeah, I will just like finish my these steps, and I will tell you what I feel and what I think that wellness is. Yeah, and also important is giving to others, just like not giving me, but giving experience, giving good feeling to other people. I think it's also important, and to live in present moment, to pay attention to the present moment. Because when I think about the past only, it's not good, and when I will think in the future it's also not so good. Yeah. So to live for the present time, these are steps what I just realized that are important for me. And now I will answer your question. What means the wellness for me. I have wrote several points and I will go through. For me, there are very important factors: meaningfulness of life, meaningfulness of work. Yeah, that's very important for me. It's basic, it's crucial. Yeah, because
Find a meaning.
Yeah, find the meaning and live with the meaning. Yeah, because I realized when I was younger, I just was keen to go to the better position, go to have more money, more power, but it's not, the life is not about it. The life is about having family, having friends, also having money. It's important, yeah. But I just like to live according your feelings. So second point, which I wrote, my family, my children, is crucial also, because maybe it's like phrase, but it's not phrase for me. When I was in this deep depression, 10 years ago, I just, and I have also some financial problems. We get almost divorced with my wife. I realized that working family and good relationship in the family is very important. Yeah, so my family and children are very important for my wellness. I also realized that what I do, this advocacy, that is also very important for me, just like to be in good shape, to do something meaningful. So it helped just like to my wellness. I also realized that my different roles, father, friend, husband, volleyball player, each of these roles are also important, and just together they keep me just like in a good shape and in wellness. And I wrote also self-esteem, and self-esteem based on ability to live in accordance with myself, because before my illness, before my attack, it was 10 years ago when I was 38. I just lived normal life, but after this depression, I realized that the meaning of life is in different spheres than I was thinking before. So, and I realized that I wasn't able to live in accordance with myself before, because I just analyzed myself. I just was looking for my mistakes, and it wasn't good. So after that, I changed my mind, and I'm happy now for maybe last 8 years. So I thought that mental illness or my attack just enriched me, and it gives me just like more power, and maybe I am a better person now than I was before.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. This point of being happy.
Yeah.
Maybe you will say about it more in a few minutes. We will be happy to hear more about that.
For sure. Also, I wrote that the wellness or improving my wellness is still my recovery journey, because I start my recovery 10 years ago, but I'm on the journey still. And this journey is also my wellness, and it's a nice journey at the moment. And I'm glad that I can do what I do, and that I'm also able to speak with you about it. Also, I just realized that for my wellness was very important after the attack, just like to beat my self-stigma, because maybe first 1 year or first 2 years, it was difficult for me, just like not think about myself that I am UFO, just like I identified flying object, that I am something strange, that nobody will understand me, and so on. So beat self-stigma at the beginning was also very important, just like for my wellness. Also, for be able to keep my wellness is just like to know my limits, and not crossing these limits. Yeah, it's my problem because I'm just looking for new challenges. So when there is new challenge, yeah, I will do this. I will do this. But I just cross my limits, and it's after that it's difficult to live in wellness. Yeah.
A very, very important point. Each sentence you say, I want to ask 10 questions about. It is so rich what
Right?
you do.
I'm gonna ask me. Yeah. Also, it's connected to the last point. Is also to have time for life, for my own life, not only for work life, not only for life of my family also, but for me, just to sit, to read, to to, to listen something, to have time for myself. And the last point I wrote is just like also to have enough money for living, because without money, I realized 10 years ago it's not a wellness. It's just like, yeah, you are looking for for money for eating and so on and so on, and it's very difficult, and it's difficult to live in these conditions. So these are mine points, and I just summarize it for me. Wellness doesn't mean absence of illness for me, because the illness will still be part of me. Wellness means for me to live fruitful, meaningful life, not knowingly harm anyone, to be able to look at myself in the mirror and find that I am happy with my life, to be able to live with myself and give my best to those around me. Yeah, that's what I feel
Beautiful.
that the wellness is set.
I'm so it's very touching to hear you. I really feel your heart and your effort to find your way in life. Thank you for sharing all that with us. If it's okay with you, I would like to ask you about a few points in what you have said that were very that felt very important.
Yeah.
The first was when you were talking about being in the present moment. Can you say a little bit more about that, and maybe also give us a tool? What can we do practically to what can help us to be in the present moment?
I will try. Yeah, it's sometimes difficult also for me still, but as I said, I am trying not to look in the past, because I will not change the past. It happened. So, and it's also not good for me just like thinking what will tomorrow happen. Yeah, maybe I am going to do that, this, and just stress myself about future. So I try to live in the present moment. That means now I am here for my family. Now I am here for me. Now I am solving the problems when they occur, not thinking about the problems in the future. They will come for sure. But at the moment I'm happy. So why I should be unhappy about the future or unhappy about the past? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to live. Sometimes difficult, as I said, but thanks to my previous experience, mainly with the attack, I'm able to do this at the moment, hopefully.
So I hear you that it's like being minded to and repeating yourself to be here and now, and connect yourself
Live at the
every
moment,
moment.
live for your family. Yeah.
Yes. So I understand that it's not like a work that I'm doing and I'm done. Like it's every day I have to exercise it again and again.
It's every moment work, not only every moment work. Yeah, that's like to think in this way.
Mm-hmm. So it's a decision, and then we have to apply it and focus on the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Great,
For
thank
sure.
you. Thank you. I also wanted to ask you about when you said to know our limits and do not cross them. It's I also feel that it is a very important point to keep our wellness. And for that also, I would like to hear a little bit more, and also something practical that will help you to keep your limits, to
Yeah,
respect them.
yeah. It's hard for me. Still, I am learning it. To be honest, because that's what I am not able to do for sometimes. Yeah, because as I said, there are challenges. Some new project, some meetings, some conferences, and so on. I start thinking, is it crossing my limits? Yeah, it's crossing my limits, but still I have a little time, so I will do this. Yeah. Some people ask me, could you just help me with this? Yeah. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, I will do it for you. Yeah, so I just maybe that sometimes I just think more about other people than about myself, or that I'm not good for to me in this case. But I'm, as I said, I'm trying, I'm learning.
Mhm.
And
So maybe when,
last week I just said twice, I said no. So
wow,
I'm just
great. So maybe I hear in what you say two things. Maybe the first is to learn from the mistakes. Like if I had crossed my limits, then I want to tell myself to recognize it and to be able to see it, and then to tell myself that I hope I will not repeat it. Like it's a decision for the future,
yeah.
to learn from the experience. And then what you said, that when you recognize it before, that it will cross the limit, and you want to strengthen your capacity to say no.
Yeah.
And after you said no, to be proud of yourself. So we have three steps: learn from the mistakes, recognize before, and be able to say no, and then be proud of me. And it will give me the chance to continue for the next time.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Right. Yeah.
I will ask you a last question, with your permission. If you can share with us, what can we do in hard moments? What can help us to deal in real time?
Yeah, in hard moments, yeah, usually for me, the hard moments are uh, concerning with relationships, mainly in work in the last time. Yeah, interpersonal communication, too much work, too many additional responsibilities, and so on, so on. And yeah, also as the last, as I said previous, also to say no to some to other people. It's still that's are hard things for me. And at the time, my experience with this situation just helped me, just like also to have greater overview uh, of the current situation. So yeah, as a, it's similar to last answer, maybe a little bit, but my experience just helped me to have overview. So I will say, yeah, so at the moment it's not a good situation, but in a few days, in a few weeks, the situation will for sure getting better. Yeah, because it was also in the past. Yeah, there are really problematic days, really problematic weeks, months, maybe years. But now 10 years, 20 years ago, and I live not a good life for me. I am quite successful, hopefully. I am glad to have my family. I am glad to have you as a family. So yeah, that's what helped me. Just like to say, yeah, the hard time is here, but don't be worried. In the future, in a few days, maybe it would be better. It has to be better. Yeah, so that's
you are able to see the difficulty as it's not here forever.
yeah.
It's now in the moment. It will end.
Yeah.
It will not stay here for forever.
Yeah, it was
really
difficult
important.
before the illness for me, just like to have this overview. Yeah, but these depression just gives me opportunity to realize this. Also, my family give me real support in hard times. Yeah, I can discuss with my wife, also with my children, because I have two girls that are 21 and 18, so they are old enough, just like to be partner in speeches and so on. And I have also a small boy, just like 9 years ago, and this is just like yeah. So he is supporting me in another way, just like to giving me love still. Yeah. So that's what, yeah, family, children, wife, that's what really helped me, just like to beat the hard times.
Yes,
And
family is a great resource.
yeah, great resource. Very, it's maybe most important resource.
I agree.
And yeah, as I said it before, ability to live in connected life at the moment and value myself is also crucial. That I'm living in with myself, and I'm not looking for my mistakes, but I'm trying to live as good as it's possible. So it's also my research, and I hope that I'm quite successful about it.
Okay, thank you very much, Zbynek. It was really special and rich and full of very, very important knowledge. I think we can learn from each sentence that you have said. We are very honored to learn from you. Thank you.
And thank you for your questions. It was great questions.
Okay, so now we will have the pleasure to hear from Julieann. Hello, Julieann.
Hi. Well,
So what would you say? What would you tell us about wellness? What is wellness for you?
Wellness to me is something that I would not have thought about as something to be important in my life in general. I would have always thought of it as something that like kind of like that like minding your mental health is a very separate thing, that struggling with your mental health and getting that under control was going to be an important thing, but not, and I never would have connected the two. It is, it's a very personal concept that is completely unique to everybody. So what might work for me could be something completely different for others. Like Zbynek was saying a lot of stuff, and I was like nodding away, going, absolutely. And there was stuff he was saying, and I was like, oh my God, my mind is blown, because it's the journey that we go on in relation to wellness. Like, it's not just about one part, it's like a really holistic approach that isn't just about getting out in nature, or like going for a walk, or minding your stress. Like, it's about looking after your physical side, your emotional side, your mental health, your spiritual health, your relationships. It's not, it's something that's kind of ever moving. It's not like a hurricane, but it's kind of like a nice gentle river that you're going to, that for me, that it's something that I have only really began to look at in the last couple of years. And it's something that I know that I need to keep the river flowing. So like, there might be boulders that come into the river, or there might be otters that make a dam, whatever it is. I'm very visual. So, but it's something that is extremely important, and it doesn't matter the state of your physical health, the state of your mental health. It doesn't matter if you kind of would say that you're like in good health in whatever sense. It is something that absolutely everybody can really like get so much from, and it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to be an expert, you don't need to have so much knowledge about stuff. It's really about figuring out what's going to work for you. Like, how are you going to have a sense of feeling content in yourself, and be that in whatever area it might be. So I might focus on wellness in a different sense depending on what goes on. Recently I've had a significant loss in my life, and I would have said that my mental health was quite bad. That I was all of the normal things of not being able to get up, and loss of motivation, and doing all of these things. But because I had that foundation of wellness, my sister actually only said to me yesterday, she's like, "You're doing better than I've seen you in a really long time. And I know
Wow.
that you're really struggling." So it's like this conundrum of, because I have a really good foundation going, that like, my mental health being bad actually didn't impact my wellness at all, which, even saying it, I'm like, I don't really understand, but I know I'm kind of really trying to figure out what works for me. I was actually when you were talking, like in Ireland, in the rural area, a common term, a phrase when you're saying hello to someone is, "Are you well?" So you're like, you're walking down the road, "Are you well?" So it's just something that's really interesting, because it's something that people might ask all the time. But then, if in Ireland anyway, people don't want to know. They're just like, you say yeah. You don't say no, because
They
they'd be like,
ask and they don't want to know the answer.
yeah, they're like, "Oh, no, I wasn't asking. I was just saying hi." So but it's definitely something that's covering, it's kind of really life management. Like, wellness is not just when you're having a hard time. It's when you're doing all of the good things, that it doesn't, well, like my example being, everything doesn't have to be amazing to have wellness in your life.
I like the word that you said before, to have good foundations.
Mm,
It's
mm,
a really
mm,
strong expression.
yeah, yeah. Kind of like,
And
think of
it's
like a
what you're
building
saying
foundation.
now. It's
Mm,
not only when we have hard time, it's what we do in everyday life, like in usual times.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, like, because you were talking earlier about boundaries, and um for many years I would have just been treading water, because my life there was so, I had to look after my very sick mother for about 15 years. She would have been palliative, and everything was very chaotic. So you kind of had to just survive, and you kind of got on with things, and you kind of were nearly waiting for, well, when this settles, when this happens, this will be okay. So you're kind of like just hoping for the best, fighting fires as things went along. And I was never in a position to take anything else on because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I had that uncertainty. But now I am in a position that I can take things on. So I have that balance of trying to, because I'll say yes to everything. I'm very enthusiastic, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I'm like, oh, I have no time. But I don't mind, because even in the busy, stressful time, I'm doing things that I never would have had a chance to do before. So I'm like, oh, this is great. These are new opportunities. Like, I never would have had the time or
Discover
the
life.
brain space. Yeah. So I'm like, I'll take it. Yeah.
Very interesting. Really, really
Yeah.
nice to hear you.
Mm.
What would you, I really like the idea of the foundations, and
Mhm.
I want to deepen it a little bit.
Mhm.
What can we do in everyday life in order to improve or deepen this aspect of wellness?
Yeah. So
Better foundations.
the one thing that the the very consistent thing that I have, that I've only recently started doing, is exercise. So I I would have had a very low self-esteem and a very quick, well, I would have called it a failure of engaging in things, but it's now just that it wouldn't have suited me. I changed my frame of thinking around it. So I never would have consistently been involved in exercise or sports, because I used to find it really boring. I was usually I'm not very sporty, so I would have kind of been kind of, it takes a long time for me to get the sense of stuff. I'm very uncoordinated. All of these different
Nothing,
things.
because I feel the same.
I know. So I'm like, okay, so I need to kind of like, I eventually found exercise that I enjoyed. So I do strength and conditioning, and I would have consistently gone. And with this is actually where I learned a huge amount about wellness, because they have set training, and you kind of you buy a block of 2 months at a time. You go and do your exercises, you do your cardio, and then there's a huge amount, like, element with food, and you track your calories, and I'll do all of these kind of things. I didn't have the headspace for the food part. And I decided to myself, but I like the exercise. So what I did was, I actually just completely ignored the food part. I completely ignored my trainer. I was like, I'm just going to go and do my exercise. So what I have done by doing that is, I've left a huge amount of pressure off myself. I have the achievement of knowing that I actually can stick. I actually stuck at it. That even though it wasn't exactly perfect, because I have an issue with that at times. So by me allowing myself for it not to be exactly as it should be, has left a huge freedom. So I consistently exercise. And regardless of how I'm feeling, I will do something. I
You
sleep
see,
is
I want
huge.
to stop you because you said
Yeah.
something very important. You say,
Yeah.
regardless how I'm feeling, I will do my exercise.
Yes.
I think it's a key.
It is. Now
If
there's
I feel
days,
good, if I feel wrong, I will exercise.
there's days that I'm like, no, but in that week I will exercise. Because there's sometimes I'm just like, no, I can't. Like my trainer, I was going to do 6:30 in the morning class, and
Oh,
I text my trainer, and I said, I can't, I'm in the horrors. So like, I'm, having a really bad day. And she said, everyone is in the horrors at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, I don't care. I'm not going. So I just ignored her. Like she's just like, whoa, Julieann just does her own thing. So I push myself, but I also know when I need to kind of I when I need to kind of just mind myself in a sense, because I definitely, another part of my wellness is by minding if I need to kind of just have a space and do nothing, to kind of just do nothing. It doesn't matter if the house is upended, if I have plans. I just need to listen to myself, because I do need to recharge quite a lot. I have sleep is hugely important. If I don't sleep properly, the day, like, it's, things are just thrown off. I don't know if anyone else experiences it, but we've recently had daylight savings and I was gone. It
I
just,
totally understand. I'm
it's
like
just, yeah, yeah.
like you.
I've
Without
had,
sleep, we
I've
cannot do anything.
so it's, so whatever has shifted has calmed down, so I'm delighted. But having connecting with people, but meaningfully. So not just going and being around people just for the sake of it, spending your time with people who bring you up, who you can be yourself around, that you're not going to be wondering and trying to figure out what their motives are, how they feel against you, should you be there, should you not. I've recently started doing yoga, which I find really interesting because it helps, so my brain does not stop, so it kind of helps to give myself a little bit of calm. And being creative, so this is something I need to work on doing more, because I don't have exactly enough time, but I'm buying a table for my box room, which is going to be my crafting space. So all of my lovely ideas that I'm having is something that I'm going to do. And then the other thing is eating well. So if I don't feel great if I have kind of overly processed food. Now, I don't have the most healthiest diet, but I just try and have some sort of regular meals. I can often forget to eat, so I kind of try and just when I can, and not to be, the most important part about eating with me is that I don't put too much pressure on myself, because if I put too much pressure on myself, I'll cave and I'll eat all the chocolate and that won't be any good. So I kind of try and really just have some compassion for myself, because I have loads of compassion for everybody else. And it's really something that's been very new, that I'm like, you're here too. Like,
Wow.
you're important.
Yeah,
Let's
I
take
really
you
like
on
what you're
board.
saying.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, on one hand, I want to keep my system regulated and in equilibrium,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and stabilize my body, my psyche,
Mm-hmm.
etc. On the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, I want to be soft with myself and not to criticize me or to be hard, etc.
Yes. Yeah. Because I said, it was only recently I was talking to, and also regular therapy is an absolute key. So I was talking to my therapist last week, and I said, like, I was like, I care less. And caring less is actually making everything okay. But like, I was like, how does that? And she's like, that's all right. And I was like, but I don't really care as much. And she's like, it's okay. And I was like, but that feels weird. It's the same kind of sense of that positive selfishness. That is kind of a word that you're kind of feels like unusual, but it isn't actually a bad thing. It's kind of more the perception of it. Yeah.
Yes, very
Mm.
nice.
Mm.
Thank you, Julian. I want to ask you a last question, if it's
Yes.
okay
No
with
problem.
you. Um, what would you suggest for a hard moment when we have difficulties? What can help us in real time to deal and to keep our wellness in the best to the best that we can?
Um, Naps are good. So if you need to, when in doubt, have a nap. But really to be kind to yourself. Like this is a journey that we don't necessarily know what's even on the path. It's about figuring it out. Like if something doesn't go right, that's okay. Like it's not about what's going wrong. It's about what you can learn from it. It's like the difficulty is not for life. It's not going to stay that way. It's about how we can move forward with it, and taking a moment to stop and think about it, to kind of like take yourself out of the situation, because sometimes we can be full of emotion and feelings, to be able to stop and go, actually, hold on, what does this mean? And instead of letting the brain go to the worst case scenario, to then go, actually, maybe this isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, only just recently, I didn't get a job that I really, really wanted. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I was like, actually, hold on. And then I stopped and I thought about it. And I actually was happy I didn't get the job. And it actually meant that I could actually be better in myself, which was the weirdest thing ever, because it's usually like, oh, disappointment and all of that. And I just said, no, like this obviously wasn't for me, and that's okay. And let's move on. And it doesn't mean anything, because straight away I was like, oh my God, this means I'm not good enough or whatever. And I said, no, it just doesn't. It is what it is, and that's okay. But the really, really important thing, take time out. It's really important to kind of stay connected. Like burnout is a really important thing, as Zbynek saying, and like say no, it's okay. And just be kind and self-care and treat yourself sometimes. It's they go a long way.
Yes, very important. And maybe what is common in all the points that you said is that we want to be aware and mindful and choose our thought or our action, and not to let the fear or the other mood and emotions to control us.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have a hard time or to worry about something, but I want to stay in my center and be able to lead the situation.
Yeah.
And this will give me the strength.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
No problem.
It is so nice, and it seemed that we could continue for a full hour, but we have to go to the Q&A session. So I will thank you, Julieann. It was really, really, I learned a lot from both of you, Julieann and Zbynek. I'm happy to hear you. Personally, it's always strengthening to hear this precious knowledge and explanation and from your own experience. So now I will invite our guests. If you want to ask your questions to Julieann and Zbynek, and they will be very happy to answer to your questions.
And I will also thank you for your moderating. It's great. So perfect.
Thank you, Zbynek.
I second that.
Thank you, Julieann. It was great to hear you and to speak with you. I thank you also.
Yael?
Yes.
Sorry, Sanya. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to mention to the group, if anyone has questions, obviously welcome to stick your hand up. And then we can gauge from there. Just from my side, wow, this has been such a wonderful conversation. There's been some really good things that have come out of it. one of the things that's really stuck out is what Julieann has said is, and I know you felt like you were fumbling, but for me it was so powerful that your wellness it doesn't affect your mental health, and it's so important, I think, because it's in your mind, you now view the condition as separate to yourself, which is ideally what we want to be doing. We are not all about illness at the end of the day. So I probably will take that and run with that in some way. I will give you credit though as I go. And Zbynek as
I'm
well.
trademarking it as we speak, Sandra.
Okay, I better get in there quick. Zbynek, a couple of the things. I mean, self-stigma you spoke about a lot. It was one of the things I realized coming into the peer or the peer network rather. I carried a lot of self-stigma, and it's definitely one of those things. Once we can overcome that, it opens up so much in terms of wellness. And like you say, wellness also involves giving to others. It's such a beautiful expression as well. So very powerful. I do know on this call we've got a fair amount of wellness specialists, if I can put it that way. But I am going to call one out that I know. We'll definitely have questions or comments, and that's our deputy, Claudia. If you can give us a word or two, there you go. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you so much. I am gonna keep my camera off because I am on leave, so I'm all in pajamas and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll speak. So I think just to do the formal part first, I'm so proud to see how you guys have come out and spoken about your difficulties, and what you've shared about wellness. And I think that probably rings true for most of us. So firstly, thank you for your honesty and sharing with us your experiences. It's always welcome and enlightening. And it really just strikes so much that we're able to give a platform for you guys to share this. And it's really special for us as well. It's not just, here's a platform, do what you want, but it's also really nice to see the humanity behind it. So thank you for that. Then maybe just on the topic of wellness, and what I struggled with the most before I even became a wellness counselor. So I guess that's where Sandra was coming on about the specialist. I couldn't quite figure out when my therapist, so my conditions are kind of interlinked with OCD, ADHD, and then the overall umbrella of anxiety. So my therapist, actually it's not even a therapist, it's more my psychiatrist, who took a very different route in helping me through my, I would say, last 6-7 years. And she kept saying, you need to find a time to be mindful and work on mindfulness. And I'm like, what is this mindfulness? Because how am I supposed to be mindful when I have so much going on in my mind right now? So what do you mean when you're saying be mindful? Be mindful of what? Like, what am I supposed to be mindful of? And I think that's a really difficult part to figure out for yourself. Each one of us has to figure out, how do we be mindful? So it was actually during the COVID pandemic when I realized I really need to do something that keeps my anxiety at bay, apart from medication and apart from online therapy. What do I do? So I randomly decided I'm going to start yoga, which was something like I didn't even think I could do. Like, what is cat-cow? Why are we talking pigeons? Like, I don't know what any of these things are. But so I started just following an online channel. I've been doing it since. And through doing that, I learned about mindfulness and then studied mindfulness coaching and all that sorts of stuff with it. And the biggest thing I took from that is it's finding a moment of stillness. And I was like, okay, well, that's easy to say. Let's all just be still. How do we do that when I'm thinking about, I haven't seen people, I haven't spoken to people, I've got to do this tomorrow, I'm still working online. And I eventually started understanding. And when I started teaching mindfulness to people, I kind of used this circle of, okay, so we're trying to be mindful of what? Then you allow that thought to come in and you you let it wander. And sometimes it's not one thought, it's not two, it's 4 thoughts that are happening. Now I must be mindful, but I have 4 things I'm thinking about. So how do I only think about one, or am I supposed to be thinking of none? You know, and then it's like, okay, then I learned, no, it's fine. You need to notice that they're there, acknowledge that they're there, and it's okay that those thoughts are there. And then bring it back to, oh, hold on, I'm sitting here to have that quiet moment. So it's acknowledging, noticing, but bringing back to that moment. So I think going from what we started at the beginning of the webinar with being in the moment to allowing yourself to be compassionate to yourself, it's all in there. We just don't know that we're actually practicing mindfulness without knowing we're doing it. We are actually doing it just in different ways. So yoga for me was definitely one of the ways that I started finding a bit of calm, a bit of quiet, following someone's instruction, really not knowing what I was doing. And as I was finishing the practices, I was like, wow, I did this. Like whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and now I'm sitting on, say, 30 minutes now. But what I learned is, okay, there is time for you, and you should set that time aside. And then the challenging part is, do I do it in the morning? Do I do it during the day? Do I do it at night? Do I make it a routine where it's only at night now? Then it became about that challenge. And so now I basically set it for night time because I feel like it just works better for me, having tried the different times. But the power of this is that we have a lot of resources available, especially online. You don't have to go to a class to do it. Do it at home. You're at home. You're comfortable. You're in a safe space. I don't want to be in yoga clothes with other people. Don't want to do that. So I want to be by myself, right? And the power behind that is I now get to select the type of theme I'm doing for that day. And I use that with how I'm feeling on that day. So I link that to the type of theme. So am I going to do it for like mental strengthening, or am I going to do a full-on workout that's going to release all the tension? Or am I feeling that it's in my head? So tension in my head. So I'm going to do head, neck, and shoulders instead. So you make it your own. It's personalized. It's your own self-care. And I think that's what's important. So it's about figuring out about yourself, which is obviously the hardest. But I mean, that would be wellness for me. And that whole mindfulness concept, I think if you take 1 minute a day just to think about yourself and take a deep breath, you're already starting something. So yeah, I mean, I could go on about wellness forever and ever, so I'm not. But yeah, I think what you guys have said, has resonated with me. And that's kind of how I see wellness and how it helped me get better. And Julieann, just on your naps, girl, I get you. My naps, my husband legit says to me, you don't have naps. You actually have a full-on sleep. And then you have another sleep again at night. You're not napping. But I listen to meditation music as well at the same time, right? So I make sure it's there. But yeah, so for me, I absolutely agree with you guys and hear what you're saying. And again, thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Claudia. It was really, really, really interesting to hear you, really empowering. I'm happy that you have shared with us.
Thank you.
I will ask again our guests if there is any question that you want to ask our speakers. Okay, so it seems, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I'm so sorry. Actually, I have just a small question. It's just I've just got a question about like self-compassion and forgiveness, like when it comes to wellness, especially when things are like difficult or tough. How do you include these like wellness routine and any tips for someone like me who struggles with wellness? Because I find it very difficult for me, especially.
Start small. I did a compassion focused therapy course there a couple of years ago, and this is actually what started my wellness journey. what you could, like, what I find very a very quick fix of looking after, of minding myself, is finding, like, I have a little box of stuff that, like, kind of, so I might have like a really soft towel, I might have some nice smelling candles, I might have something that I enjoy doing that just kind of gives me just a little bit of me time. So it's like your own little self-care box. So maybe having a think of having something like that could be a nice start. So kind of have maybe like your favorite bar of chocolate, or your like a ingredients for hot chocolate, whatever that it might be, because what that does is that's going to give you just a couple of minutes for yourself.
Yeah. For me, I have one thing, maybe I have more, but one I just really like is in my diary. I have paper diary, because after several years of using digital diaries and calendars, I just go back to the paper. And I have here one nice picture from my son. It's a heart from my son. And when I have a tough day or something strange, something difficult happened to me, I just open the diary. I see this heart, and it's like, oh, someone loves me. My family loves me. So there is no such big trouble. So it's just like keep me just like in better mood, and it's helped me just like really, it's really strong for me. Just like this small, quite small picture, but it helped me to beat these not good situations.
No, definitely. Thank you, Zbynek and Julieann. It's just like sometimes I will have that like bar of chocolate, or even like going through documents and stuff like that. But at the same time I'm eating that chocolate bar, I feel guilty. I have no idea why I feel guilty, but it's like, oh, I could be doing something better, or I could share the chocolate with someone else. And that's what I find very difficult, to like kind of switch that part of my brain off and just try to focus on myself, and like at least to get that self-care part of it. But I just find that very difficult. So thank you for actually like talking about that. Yeah.
I've been, and I still am a lot of the time, in that exact same spot. And instead of kind of wanting to turn that part of you off, instead of going, okay, I hear you. Now come on, we're gonna have this chocolate together, because but it takes practice. So I don't want those feelings to make you think, oh well, I can't do it, because the more that you practice it, because I would have often been like, I should have been doing something else, and what am I doing? And then just to go, no, I deserve this. I need to have my own time. So yeah, hope that helps.
I appreciate that, Julieann and Zip. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a very important question, very interesting. Is there any more question? Okay.
Wairimi has her hand up, Yael.
Yes, I see it. So we invite you to ask your question.
Okay, hi everyone. I've really learned a lot from this session. I'm so glad I was able to catch it. Now, for me, my question would be, in terms of exercise, what would you recommend someone who has very frequent relapses to do? Because for me, my favorite activity is walking. Like, I love it, and I can walk for kilometers upon kilometers. But I've tried like other workouts, but I'm just not able to stick to them. I love the walking. But then what happens is that I will walk maybe for 1 week, 2 weeks, and then now I get into a relapse, and then it takes a couple of more weeks for me to get strength. Then I have to start again. So what, in terms of exercise, what would you recommend someone to do? Because it's important to work out for your mental health. Yeah.
The most important thing is to find what you enjoy. So if you're going to be trying to do exercise and you really hate it, it's going to just make you feel even worse, especially if you've had a relapse. So it's going to be really important to, well, number one, be really kind to yourself, that like, and know your limits, because you might not feel ready, or you might not be in the position to have to do the exercise. But even if if it is something that you feel that would be really important in those times, to have a think about maybe exercises that you could do at home, but that will work for you, that you're not going to have to, like, that's not going to be a huge amount of energy that you're already trying to save. But it's going, like, there's as Claudia mentioned, there's so much stuff that's online. So if walking is and being outside is going to be too much, or even walking around the house, like, take it really, really back to kind of really just whatever is going to make you feel nice.
Yeah, I agree with Julieann. And what I suppose, what I know that when I was in relapse, it was just like I also like walking, but so I was able to walk only for short. So maybe I walk for 200, 300 meters around my block. Yeah, I walk, I do some exercise, but not so much, not extended to kilometers, but still doing what I like, because I wasn't able to play volleyball. I really love volleyball. I played for more than maybe I played for 40 years at the moment, but I wasn't able to play volleyball during my illness, during my lapse. So I was only one thing I can do was walking. Yeah, so short walkings, short, small steps, not so much kilometers. So, but do what you like. Yeah, I think that this is important. Do what you like, what you love. It will help you doing things you are loving.
Does that help?
Okay. Thank you so much. I think I loved when you started with be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
That got to me, because I know start beating myself down about it and why I didn't do it. And then also Claudia and Sandra have said that, just take it as a pause and not an end, because I look at it as an end, like, okay, I can't do this, so what's the point? And then I completely drop it. So thank you so much for that. And thanks, Claudia and Sandra.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for questioning, Marime. Thank you.
Thank you, Rimi, for your question. Lydia, I saw that you have raised your hand. You also have a question?
No questions, but I want some tell for Zbynek. I agree with him about important money, enough money for our health, for our mental health. And I agree because I have 3 children too, and I have very long mental experience in my life. Now my work is about clinical and rehabilitation psychology. It's not only theoretic, it's about my experience, own experience, because I'm after a car road accident 4 years ago, had a disabled, I'm disabled person, and I understand what's mean power, what's mean enough money for our normal mental health. and I agree with him about he spoke about power, our wellness, psychology, mental health. I agree with him for full person. And thank you for all sharing about your experience. It's very important for similar conversation about our sharing, and is maybe sometimes helping for us, besides some for our clients, for our family, for our life. It's very important to be here for us. Thank you. And I hope I will not missing our next conversation and our meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lydia. Parth, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, hi, thanks. I just wanted to make a quick point first. Thank you so much for all of you, for sharing your experiences. Something that stood out to me from both of your panels was that even when I had my first episode for depression, I used to go to the gym before that quite often, do exercise for 3 hours, pick up the heaviest weights, and then also be very excited about that. And after that, I lost a significant amount of weight, so 25 kilos. And then when I was making my recovery journey, wellness to me somehow was, okay, let's go back to the gym and let's do exactly what I was doing before I had my that experience. So I started comparing myself not to others, but to, okay, if I could lift that much, if I could run, a 10K, I could run a 5K, why is that not happening anymore? So it took a lot of time to realize that wellness doesn't depend on your past experiences either, and that I need to say no to people and say, no, it was then, but it's not now anymore. But there's so much shame and stigma attached to that experience that, okay, you're not even able to do that much. So just thinking about that, there's so much kindness that you have to show to yourself, that no, my wellness journey is not even dependent on what I used to do before. And it's okay for me to take a pause and say, I'm going to start slow. If I'm picking up a very tiny weight amongst a lot of people who are doing a lot more, that's good for them. I'm happy, but I'm also happy that at least I'm here. So just me being there, being part of that environment again, knowing what's happened is enough. So just took that, and also saying no to people when they're encouraging you to do more when you know you don't have the capacity. So I enjoy being in that space now, and that stayed with me to, just be compassionate and kind to yourself as well. So thanks a ton for sharing your experiences, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. This was wonderful to hear you. Thank you very much. Elizabeth, I think you will be the last one for today's meeting. Do you have a question?
I actually wanted to, funny enough, echo what Parth was saying, because I had a really bad week this week, and I actually got quite emotional listening to everyone and what they were saying, because for me, especially, in the path of getting better and all of that stuff, I always thought wellness was push, 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 push. You've got to get to the gym, you've got to go and meditate, everything was just forced. And part of, and was listening to Claudia talking about yoga, and during COVID, I was doing yoga, an hour a day. It was never do 10 minutes. It was no, you got to do, if you don't do 45 minutes to an hour, it doesn't count. You're not reaching your unconscious goals of, relaxation. So it's been quite amazing for me in the last couple of years to just realize wellness is about literally just stopping and pausing. And my camera isn't on because I'm in bed, because I'm just had the worst week. And I thought, was kind of maybe I shouldn't join tonight, because I'm just feeling quite emotional and down. And I think with wellness work, it's also give. You're giving to everyone and hoping, you're doing the best that you can. But I think, taking time out and just showing up can sometimes be enough. So thank you for everyone, and for everyone that spoke tonight. It was really, I am quite emotional tonight, but crying is also therapeutic, I have learned, and hugging my dog is also therapeutic, I've learned. So I'm practicing all of those things tonight. So thanks everyone, and for giving me the opportunity to also talk.
Thank you for sharing this. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm very happy that we had this meeting together. I thank everybody for being with us. I thank our speakers for the great presentation, conversation. And I hope to see you all again in our Global Mental Health Peer Network activities. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks.